Good morning. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I want to take a little bit of a different approach for the next actual few weeks and talk about some market strategies and how to handle this changing market and challenging market. I think we all know that the market has changed. No longer is it a no talent era where you stick a sign in the lawn and drive to the bank. You have to actually come up with some plans and strategies to generate business. And I think that's good. It's good that we're now going to have to be proactive a little bit rather than waiting for all the business to come to us. And so I'm going to come up with different ideas week by week. And today I want to talk about releasing a senior's equity. Statistics tell us that in the next 20 years, there's literally going to be trillions of dollars that are going to be passed on from one generation to the next by inheritance. Next 20 years. What that means, though, right now is there's a host of seniors who are cash poor, but equity rich, house rich. They own property that's gone up substantially in value in the last 2 years, and maybe if they owned it for 20 or 30 years, they've got a tremendous amount of equity in their house, but they don't have a lot of money. They maybe got their pension coming in month by month, and they're somewhat strapped. And so there's some challenges. I, as you know, have some rental properties, and some years ago, I had a property, I still have it, of course, and I had a prospective tenant come to see me, and they wanted to rent the property. I was a little bit concerned because he was 85 years old at that point, and I wasn't sure he was going to be able to handle the snow and the grass cutting that came with maintaining this property. But I found out a little bit about the story. He was a retired carpenter, and so he was a blue-collar worker, middle income, if you like. And they owned their own home, but it was falling into a certain amount of disrepair. The driveway needed repair, and it needed a new roof, and they didn't have the money to do these things. And they decided maybe the answer was to sell their house, take the equity, become tenants, rent somewhere, and use the equity to supplement their income for the rest of their life. And in fact, even though he was 85 when he moved in, they were tenants of mine for 11 years, and wonderful, wonderful tenants. Had I known in advance, what I would have wanted to do was buy the house they were in and rent that back to them. And that way, they would be able to continue as really, really good tenants in a property they're used to. And I would have, as an investor, had, of course, good tenants. Now, there are some strategies out there to address this problem of seniors that are house rich and cash poor. And one of them is a reverse mortgage. And you see that advertised on television a lot because of this situation and the prevalence of these situations over the next 15 or 20 years. I'm not a big fan personally of reverse mortgages. There's three things that I don't like about it. First of all, the cash comes out in dribs and drabs. It isn't a one chunk thing. It's kind of a monthly annuity, if you like. The other thing is if the seniors get into a health issue or a health problem and they need to move out of their house and move into assisted living of some sort, it's a problem getting their actual equity out of their house. And the third problem is they're still responsible for repair and maintenance. And so they've got money coming in every month, but if all of a sudden they need a new furnace, new air conditioner, or a new roof with a major capital expenditure, they've still got a problem. And so the real solution, I think, is for them to sell and then rent back. There's some real advantages to this. First of all, it gives them all their cash out. And these days, with interest rates rising, there's a good chance that they can put that money in the bank or invest it in some way and almost offset their mortgage. I mean, if they sell for $700,000 plus expenses and they net $700,000 and they were able to get 3 to 4% return on their money, it'll give them better than $2,000 a month to make the rent payment, and they don't have taxes, and they don't have repair, and they don't have maintenance that they have to worry about. When something goes wrong, they pick up the phone and call the landlord. The other extremely beneficial thing for the senior to consider is when they do this, at some point in time, they're going to have to look at a lifestyle change and moving into a nursing home or assisted living of some sort. So they go on a list to get into the home of their choice, and when it comes up, they don't have a house to sell. All they need to do is give the landlord notice and move in. So it gives them the freedom to take the next, I'll say, declining step in their life, and it gives them the freedom to enjoy the house they've spent years and years in, and it really, really works. I did this myself some years ago, had an opportunity and bought a property that the owner wanted to stay in as a tenant. They've continued in. In fact, the neighbors wouldn't even know they've sold. They continue looking after the property. They continue on the gardening and whatnot. It looks the same way as it always did. But if they have a problem, if it needs a repair, they give me a call. So that burden is off their shoulders. The tax burden is off their shoulders. The repair and maintenance is off their shoulders. But if the property goes up in value, I benefit as an investor. So it's really, really good for the senior tenant, and it's really, really good for the investor. So, but the problem might be, how do we make it happen? You're a real estate agent and you want to get into this and create some transactions. How do you do it? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to find the eligible seniors. There's lots of them out there, but you need to plant that idea. And the same way as reverse mortgages are being advertised on television, you need to have some way of get that message out. You can get that message out by going to a senior publication. You can go seniors clubs and groups. You can talk to groups that facilitate needs and help for seniors, and you can get a list of some people and send out a flyer or send out a letter and market it. And then when you've got a senior candidate, you go have a look at the house and see if it would make sense for an investor. Then you have to develop a portfolio of investors. And there's a lot of people, and we're going to be talking about this in upcoming weeks. There's lots of people who are eligible investors, and maybe they don't even realize it. People who are self-employed that have got better than average income, and they don't really know where to invest it, and they really need to invest in real estate. And by going to an investor and telling them, look, you can buy this property. It's got a built-in tenant. These are great people. Here's how they look after the property. It's an easy sell to investors. Once you start along this way, it'll start rolling for you. Word of mouth will pass along. The investor who has one positive experience, it won't be too long till he wants to buy another one. And so it will grow and grow and grow. It's a wonderful opportunity, but there's some points to consider, and that is the sale needs to be market value sale, and the rent needs to be market value rent. And one of the problems you're going to have, not a problem, but you're going to have to address is that the homeowner who has his property probably free and clear and hasn't been paying any rent, all of a sudden to be told he's paying $2,200 or $2,300 a month, he's going to get sticker shock. We need to explain to him the money he's going to be getting in return on his invested value of the property in the bank or wherever he invests it, the fact he doesn't have to pay taxes, the fact he doesn't have to pay repair and maintenance, all the other benefits we've outlined, but make sure that he understands that this is what's going to happen as far as the rent is concerned, and make sure the investor knows that he's going to be paying market value. He's not going to be getting a super deal or taking advantage of anybody. And you do it that way, you build a credible business for yourself, and you're fair to all parties, and it will be it'll do 2, 3, 4 deals a year because of this that you can add to your portfolio. And I think it will really, really make a difference. I hope that makes sense. Take some time to think about it, plan about it, and I'll look forward to talking to you again next week.